Hello together, my name is Serkan. Today I want to present you how to use the BELSORP Mini-X for BET surface area analysis. Also, I want to point out how the new BELCONTROL platform will simplify your daily operation in laboratories. In the first step, I want to show you how to pre-treat the sample. I want to transfer the sample to the main unit, and afterwards we will start the measurement together. This is the sample cell. The sample cell is made of three parts. We have the main tube, a glass stick, which is used for dead volume reduction, and also we have a filter on top to avoid sample contamination of the instrument. Before we start the analysis, we have to determine the empty sample cell tube. To do so, we insert our sample cell to the balance and take a note about the weight. Once this is done, we remove the filter and the glass stick. We insert our sample funnel and put it back to the balance. We can take our reference sample that we want to use for this experiment. It's BAM P115, and fill it to our sample cell. We can remove the funnel now, insert the glass stick and the filter, and determine the weight again. It is important to take a note of this weight again to calculate the final weight of our sample. Once the sample is filled into our sample cell, we have to connect the sample cell to our preparation station. First, we can place the sample cell to the cooling zone, unloosen the nut and connect the sample cell by pushing in. Typically, you will feel the resistance of the O-ring. Once it is pushed in, we have to tighten the nut again, and we can place the sample cell to the cooling zone. Right after, we have to open the connection to the manifold, but it is very important that you take care that the current pressure is at atmospheric pressure. Otherwise, you will risk a contamination of the manifold. Now we are able to open the valve, the connection to the manifold, and we can start the evacuation process. Again, at the pressure gauge, you can monitor the current pressure, and once the pressure is dropped to about 100 Pascal, we can change it from slow evacuation to a fast evacuation process. Last but not least, we have to start the heating process as well. On the temperature controller, we can adjust the required temperature. For this experiment, we want to use 180 degrees C. Once you have set it by using the arrows, you can start the heating process by pushing the button. When the heating process is started, you will see that the light is turned on. Now we have to move our sample cell from the cooling zone to the heating zone and wait for another 3 hours to pre-treat the sample under vacuum and heat. The sample preparation is finished and we can follow the pressure changes on the vacuum gauge. As we can see here, we have reached about 1 Pascal, which is a very good indication of a well pre-treated sample. Since the sample pre-treatment is finished, we can now move the sample cells from the heating part to the cooling part. Also, we can stop the heating process since the heating is no longer required. To avoid burnings, we recommend to wait for another 5 minutes because the sample cells typically are still quite hot. So the samples are cooled now and ready for analysis. Before we can remove the sample cells from the pretreatment station, we have to refill the sample cells with inert gas. To do so, we have to change it from vacuum to flow. And this means we have to turn it to the flow. On the pressure gauge, you can always follow that the sample cells are also refilled again. So it means we are reaching atmospheric pressure again. Once this is done, we can make sure that all the valves are closed and we put all the valves to horizontal position. All 4 samples are prepared for analysis, and now we are going to connect it to the main unit. We have to unloosen the nut, push it out, and we can bring the sample cell to the main unit. To start the analysis on the main unit, first of all, we will insert the sample sleeve. This sample sleeve is used to reduce the liquid nitrogen consumption. To connect the sample cell to the main unit, again, we will unloosen the nut, push in the sample and tighten. This process is done for all the 4 samples that we want to use for our analysis. As you can see, 3 samples are already attached to the instrument. Now we are going to connect the 4th sample as well. To connect the sample cell to the main unit, we will unloosen the nut, take the sample cell and push it in. Finally, we will tighten again, and the sample cells are prepared for the experiment. Since the sample cells are connected to the BELSORP Mini X, we can now start the analysis. To do so, we have to start the operation software BELCONTROL and click on Measure.
After clicking the Measure button, the following screen will appear. In the first step, you can activate the measurement ports you would like to use. To enable a port, simply check the corresponding box. You can measure up to 4 samples simultaneously. Next, select the file location, enter the file name, sample name and sample mass. Please note that the sample mass can be calculated using the integrated calculator. In the comment field, we recommend entering the pretreatment conditions. In this example, we pretreated the sample at 180 degrees C for 180 minutes. For the automated analysis function, please select the predefined report. You can also assign individual reports for each sample if needed. You can then enter the BET analysis range, which is used for the result preview. Finally, select the sample shape, as this affects the applied vacuum speed. For fine samples, please choose fine powder always to avoid sample dispersion effects. In the second tab, please select the measurement programs. For each measurement port, individual program can be applied. The measurement program defines the measurement range, as well as dosing and equilibrium parameters. To simplify the operation, you can select automatic settings, in which no pre-information will be required. The third tab defines the fundamental settings of adsorption analysis. No modification is required for simple BET surface area determination. Please make sure that the instrument setup is prepared as described in the scheme. All 4 samples are attached and the DIR vessel is filled with liquid nitrogen. Now we can start the analysis. On the right hand side, you can monitor the current progress. The measurement begins with an instrument initialization, followed by free space measurements at room temperature and liquid nitrogen temperature. To set the adsorption temperature, the DIR vessel is raised automatically. Next, the adsorption analysis is performed. The total measurement time is also displayed here. On the left hand side, you can follow the opening and closings of the valves along with the corresponding pressure changes. At the bottom of the screen, you can view the current measurement results in real time. As soon as the measurement point is recorded, it is displayed immediately. After approximately 30 minutes, the first multi-point BET results are available. The non-porous potassium carbonate sample shows an extremely low surface area of 0.36 m² per gram. Although the total surface area in the sample cell is below 1 meter square, the measurement accuracy is outstanding. The alumina sample has a surface area of 14.7 meters square per gram. Both values match our expectations well. Next, the BUM P115 sample is completed after 35 minutes. The measured BET surface area is 146.8 meters square per gram, while the expected value is 147.3 plus minus 2.8 meters square per gram. This confirms that the obtained result is well within the specified range. Finally, the silica sample is completed after approximately 42 minutes with a measured surface area of about 187 meters square per gram. Now the final reports are created according to the defined settings. For each sample, a dedicated report is generated. On the first page of the report, the measured isotherm is displayed, followed by the raw data. On the third page, you will find the BET plot, the BET surface area value, the C constant, as well as the correlation coefficient. The same report structure is created for the other samples. If you are interested in seeing an example report, please feel free to download it from the download section.